Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. We've got the lovely Clair Mason from Intensity and Elliptica. Claire is amazing. She's been such an incredible supporter of us right from the start of the Parent Collective. So thank you so much for joining us today. As always, I'm going to do a little intro and tell you about us. So we're called the Parent Collective. We do prenatal classes in Fairfield County and New York that are organised by neighbourhood and due date. And this is our birth story series. So Claire, we're going to start today by talking about, so you've got two big boys, haven't you?
Yep.
I say big because I know they're like 6 foot something as well, aren't
They
they?
are huge. So Freddie's 22 and Louis will be 21 next weekend.
God, they're close together.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Well, actually 20 months. So,
Oh, okay. Oh, no,
so July and November.
That's kind of a normal gap, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good gap.
Yeah, tell us about your pregnancies.
So my first pregnancy, when I was about 11 weeks pregnant, we left London and moved to Australia, so to Sydney. That was a bit of a challenge, obviously, because first pregnancy, didn't know anybody, didn't know how I was going to get the support that I needed or find a doctor or anything, but Australia is a wonderful place and everybody was super friendly, and some friends back home gave me names and numbers of their friends, and I called them up and they're still my friends today. So I got immediate help. In fact, I think we rented a flat in Milson's Point, and the guy that used to clean the flat for me gave me his girlfriend's doctor's number, and that's who delivered my baby in the end. So it's all about who you talk to, I guess. So anyway, so 11 weeks, moved to Sydney, and I had a great pregnancy. Before getting pregnant, obviously I was really fit. I think I'd just run the London Marathon. So I was probably in the fittest stage of my life. So I think that helps with pregnancy if you go into it fit. I think it's easier to recover. Not that I'm trying to sell fitness here, obviously, but for me it definitely worked. So I had a really easy pregnancy with Freddie. I did get big. I was huge. I think I put on about 30 pounds or something. So just before I had Freddie, I had 2 weddings to come back to England for, and I was right, at that cusp of when you can fly, like 34 weeks or something. And the good thing is they upgraded me and let me have a first class seat, which was nice. And
yes.
So I had 2 weddings, one weekend and one the next weekend. Got those done, went back and more or less, had my baby kind of thing. So my pregnancy itself, I had posterior with both my children, so they were facing back to front, so all their limbs are at the front of your tummy, which it's much harder for them to kind of slide down the birth canal like that. They're almost bending the wrong way, and they're trying to kind of come down like that, and instead their body's trying to do that, and they've got hands and feet and everything. So they actually do try and turn your baby around for you in the last week or two. So I remember having like really painful contractions on the Monday, I think, and then they spent 2 days trying to turn Freddie around.
Did they do that by hand?
They do. They try and like massage your tummy. I remember they wanted me to lie on my left side as well, so that he would kind of roll over and flip around. So Freddie actually didn't flip around, so he was a posterior delivery, which is why it's quite painful. But I remember my husband, so all our family are back in London and we're in Sydney, and I remember Charlie calling his mum saying, we're on our way to the hospital, and it was on the Monday, and on the Wednesday he hadn't called her back to say nothing's happened. So he was like panicking, like, oh my God, what's happened? So he just put, in his excitement, that's my husband. So I was lucky. I had Freddie at the Sydney Adventist Hospital, which is a 7-day Adventist hospital up in Warunga, which is where the home of Skippy, the kangaroo.
The kangaroo.
Beautiful hospital. I kind of think of it as a hotel, and I had like this corner room, a bit like Jess's lovely house here, like honeymoon suite they used to call it. So that side of my my experience was, I was really lucky. And
did you have a vaginal birth?
I did, yeah, everything.
I can't even imagine how painful that was.
Yeah, everything. I did have an epidural actually, right at the last minute. They were like, he's going home, so if you want it, you need to say now, the anaesthetist. So I just thought at that stage, you're like, no, I'm going to go for it, because you're not there for the pain. You're there to just see this lovely baby. So so that's about it, really. You know, it was a long delivery. I think I was even in labor for like 17 hours or something. It was a really long time and really painful, but nothing terrible. You know, at the end of the day, it was all fine. And I don't have any bad, sort of memories of it. I only have good memories. So
that's good. And was Freddie your first or your second?
Freddie's my first.
Right.
Yeah, and really good little baby. I remember the midwife was Australian, and she was really happy to have a little English boy, and she kept putting him under her arm and leaving me like without my baby, and she's like, he's coming with me. Elspeth, her name was, I still remember it. Off we go. She was very cute. So so Freddie was my first, and then I think he was probably about, I don't know if you do the math, he must have been younger than a year or something. And then I got pregnant again with Louis in Sydney, and moved back to England. So Louis was born in London.
Did you do any sort of like NCT? Did you do any of the classes?
No, so obviously in Sydney I missed that. They didn't have anything like that I knew about. Nobody told me about it. I wish I had, because all my friends back in London just are still friends with their NCT circle. Like their husbands are friends, and they still go on holiday, and all the kids are like older, and they're still very much good friends. So I never got to have that experience. And then, I was 6 weeks away from having Louis when we moved back to London, and I already had a child. So I don't know. I never got involved in a way. It's a shame.
What was pregnancy number 2 like? Were you still fit? Were you still in the fitness?
Yeah. So I wasn't as fit as I was before I had Freddie. Obviously, having a little baby, and I didn't have any help in Sydney. So I did a lot of walking around Centennial Park with him. Freddie used to sleep all the time. He was the best baby ever. So we'd walk for miles and miles and miles with him in his stroller. And then I wasn't unfit with Louis, but I wasn't as fit as I was with Freddie. Louis was posterior as well, and he was born on July 6th, and I think it was the Wimbledon final with Martina Hingis and Martina Navratilova. And I remember just lying on the sofa, for days, just trying to turn him around as well. But it's great, because I would just be watching tennis.
Yeah.
And the Saturday, I think, the ladies' final, I went into labour, and I called the hospital, and they're like, well, don't come yet, just watch the end of the final, and then come in. So I think that's why Louis is such an amazing tennis player. I think he kind of like really got into tennis in my tummy. So same thing with Louis, though. He was still back to front. I think they actually managed to turn him around before they delivered him, but they gave me an epidural anyway because of the pain that I'd had with the first one. And they're like, why bother? Why wait? So he was born, I think it was quicker. I think it was like 10-hour labor. So it was I definitely had long labors. I think they're fairly long. Yeah, but nothing complicated about them really, even though, they're back to front, and it's not as bad as a breech birth, is it? Where they're upside down. That's even, I think, harder.
Feet first. Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah. So, and Louis was born in the Portland in London, which is just a fabulous.
Yeah, it's famous, isn't it?
Yeah, famous and just exquisite service. So they let you go out for dinner and look after your baby for you on the last night, and they give you a little panda, portly panda. Anyone that's had a baby in the Portland hospital will have one of these pandas. Like, it's amazing how many houses I go to in Westport. I'm like, oh, you have a portly panda. So, yeah. So, good. Very good. But
amazing.
With both of them, really.
That's fantastic.